Giannis still put up incredible numbers in the series. He became the first NBA player in NBA history to score at least 200 points, get at least 100 rebounds, and have at least 50 assists in a single series. He had 20 points, 9 assists, and 5 turnovers 25 points, 20 rebounds, 9 assists, and 5 turnovers in Game 7 against Boston. I'm with you. I think if Chris Middleton is available, this is a different series.
Yeah, I do. It's nothing against Boston, but this is not a great enough. I mean, Grayson Allen was terrified to be on the floor. Bobby Portis was a liability. They have to have Chris Middleton giving them 18 to 23.
Well, we talked about this at the start of the postseason, that this year was very unique. There was no super team. Even the best team in the league, Phoenix, had holes. Every team had a vulnerability, and it felt like it was really open to anybody to make a run and win the championship. But obviously everyone's going to have their picks. But even now with the Final Four teams, I don't know how anyone can say with really strong conviction that they are for sure the team that's going to go on to win the championship. Everyone is very even, and to your point, none of these teams can overcome a major injury.
None.
So I mean, listen. You have to make do with what you have, and Giannis was incredible, but that's just a lot to overcome, losing your second best guy.
Yeah, we had the Heatles, then we had the Warriors with KD. We're going through LeBron got old, and the league's current situation is good, very good to good teams, all with a strength, cannot afford it. If Jaylen Brown got hurt for Boston, series is over.
Correct.
If Bam got hurt for Miami, can't win the series.
And that doesn't mean, that's not an excuse. It's just, this is probably always going to come down to the healthiest team, which
that's right.
Can be on the individual for taking care of their body, and some of it's luck. Luck favors the prepared.
Yeah.
You're going to have to rise up in certain moments. But Giannis was incredible. He still showed he's the best player in the league. But, Boston took advantage of the situation, and kudos to them.
Good stuff. Joy with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
Miami won. And I remember watching an early Lakers-Blazers game. But the 70s, now I'm starting to be 8, 9, 10 years old. And it was a great time. I loved the NBA. What you're currently watching, as I watch this weekend, is you're watching the 70s NBA with way better marketing, way better revenue. The NBA is doing very, very well. But you have one really great transformational player per team surrounded by excellent players. I'll give you an example. In the 70s, they were called the Washington Bullets. They had Elvin Hayes, and then they had excellent players around him. Phil Chenier, Kevin Greavy, Bobby Dandridge, Wes Unseld. I remember them well, their uniforms. The Sonics had Gus Williams, who was their star from USC in his prime. But they had Jack Sikma and Lonnie Shelton and John Johnson and DJ, Dennis Johnson. And the Knicks had Walt Frazier was their guy, Earl Monroe and Dave DeBusschere. The Warriors had Rick Barry was their star. Then Jeff Mullen, Clifford Ray, the coach Al Attles. I can go through. Portland had Dave Twardzik and Jeff Petrie and Maurice Lucas, but they had Bill Walton. They all had a Hall of Famer and then really nice complimentary pieces. Sixers, by the way, had Caldwell Jones and Bobby Jones and George McGinnis, but they had Dr. J. Dr. J was the first player that, the afro, the style, the hands, the swooping that we all kind of fell in love with in my age group. That's what we're watching. All of these teams have one great player. Tatum's going to be a Hall of Famer. Luka's going to be a Hall of Famer. Some would vote him in now if he retired. Giannis going to be a Hall of Famer. Steph's a Hall of Famer. And then there's no great teams left, though. Like the 70s, we don't talk about 70s teams. We don't talk about 70s NBA teams. There's no great teams. These are not great teams. Now, Golden State has the most offensive talent left. Celtics have the most defensive talent left. Miami's got the best depth and bench left. And Dallas has the greatest scorer left. All have something special. All four could win it. Absolutely. I think I like the Celtics in 6 over Miami. No great conviction. I think I like Golden State's matchup against Dallas in 6. I think health could be a huge factor. These teams are not good enough to overcome. None of them are good enough to overcome a big injury. They're just not. And I was thinking about it this weekend, flying back. I was reading Jeff Pearlman's book, 3 Ring Circus, on Kobe, Shaq, and Phil Jackson. It's fantastic. The Lakers won 3 straight titles, and if Karl Malone was healthy, I think they beat Detroit for 4. And it was nothing but chaos. Kobe hated Shaq. Shaq hated Kobe. Phil Jackson was in Jerry West. It was a mess. It didn't matter. We watched the documentary, Joy and I did, Michael Jordan and Jerry Krause, and Rodman didn't show up, and Scottie Pippen is jealous, and Michael's a jerk, and he's punching Steve Kerr. It didn't matter. They won 6 titles. And we watched Clay and Steph and KD and Draymond. And Draymond and KD didn't get along. They're fighting. It didn't matter. They just won. Great teams can overcome injuries and vanity and scuffles and fighting and turmoil and chaos. And the GM hates the coach, and the coach hates the GM, and the GM hates the star, and the star, everybody's jealous. That's not what we have here. All four of these teams have absolute clear ceilings. But the 70s NBA was really, really fun. And everybody could win every year. There were like 5-6 teams every year. And all of these can win, but they've all got ceilings. Golden State feels a little old, like a little creaky. Clay's not the same. Steph always feels like he's close to getting hurt. Draymond's still remarkable, but he's past his prime. So's Andrew Wiggins, who's been a revelation. Dallas, after Luka, Boston after Tatum, they don't play well, they don't win. And I'm not even sure Miami has a closer. I like Bam and I like Jimmy Butler, and they just kind of outlast everybody. The NBA is much healthier than it was in the 70s. It is rolling in international talent. It is rolling in revenue. The players are big personalities. Yeah, Simmons, Kyrie, James Harden, eye rolls. You pay guys $30 million, that's what you get. But it's got much better marketing, and it is the 70s NBA. But people badmouth the 70s NBA. I grew up with it. It was fun. Yeah, the Knicks were good early 70s, and here came the Lakers, and then Dr. J's coming in, and then the Sonics, and the Blazers, and the Warriors, and the... Why can I name all the players? Why do I remember all the coaches? I can go through starting lineups for all of them. Why? Because it stuck. It mattered. It was fun. Players were fighting and yelling, and it was like you had basically... You had like just enough pasta for 6 people, and there were 7 kids. Everybody was fighting because everybody was an inch away. It's not like the Warriors dynasty. It's not like the Showtime Lakers, Kareem and Magic, the Bulls. It was like, maybe we can beat them. Probably we can't. Anybody can win here. I don't have great conviction. I do think Boston defensively is going to make it really hard for Miami. Really hard for Miami to get any consistency or fluidity offensively. And I think actually Golden State matches up with Luka okay. They can throw a little Draymond at him for 10, 12 minutes a half. They can throw some Andrew Wiggins at him for a little while. I think they'll make it a little difficult for Luka. Little. Heavy on the little. But I think it'll be fun. I like it. I like villains. I like superpowers. But this is fun too. Joy with the news.
No.
Turn on the news. Who will not be winning any titles? I know it's painful. I like Chris Paul. It's not Charles Barkley didn't win a title. Dan Marino didn't win a title. Chris Paul's not going to win a title. The basketball gods have rendered a decision. So what do the Suns do? Bring it back. Really? I know, 64 wins. Got to the playoffs. Terrible for a decade. It feels good to win those regular season games. But the great thing about losing to great teams and losing to great players. And the Mavericks are not a great team, but Luka's a great player. There is an advantage to this. Great creates clarity. You watch American Idol in its prime, and you'd see the Underwood or like one of the great singers. Like every year they'd have a great singer. And it just created clarity. You're like, oh, she's great. He's really not that great. He's terrible. It creates clarity. Great creates clarity. If you're in Silicon Valley, Apple, oh, our stuff's good. It's not the iPhone good. Luka showed you the truth. Devin Booker is a 2. A good 2, but a 2. Mikal Bridges, quite a ceiling. DeAndre Ayton, not much use when you trail late and need threes. And Chris Paul's 37. He's old. Phoenix needs to take a huge swing. And they should thank Luka for that. Because he is so great, so capable of getting his own shot every time down the floor, so capable of elevating others, so inspired, so unintimidated by anything. He showed you the way. He showed you that Booker's a 2. If I'm Phoenix, I let DeAndre Ayton walk. I get another elite score. That's where I spend my money. Hopefully Booker is a great 2 for years to come in the Valley of the Sun. But I'd probably limit Chris Paul's minutes. And by the way, I love Chris Paul. But there are certain industries in America where people do not age fast. Accountants. I mean, you could have an accountant for 60 years. Radio hosts. People do it for a long time. Attorneys, tax attorneys. I've been doing it. My firm's been since the 60s. And then there's professions where people age really fast, like overnight. Pro sports. Peyton Manning, MVP, to benched for Brock Osweiler. James Harden, overnight. The hell is that? Chris Paul, 37, last 4 games of this series. These are pro athletes. They're the world's best athletes in the NBA. Your weaknesses, they happen fast. That tax attorney, have another donut for breakfast. You'll never be able to tell. Chris Paul couldn't stay in front of anybody. And it's time. It's time to find the next Chris Paul. He's not going anywhere. But Devin Booker was not a serious MVP candidate despite being the best player on the